It's July 11th, 2008, and this is the latest update on this garden project that I designed using permaculture principles. And as you can see, it is literally exploding. I got tomato plants growing through the side of the fence here. The comfrey is really big, really lush, and doing what I intended it on doing. So that part of the garden worked out good. Comfrey's keeping the grass out of the garden. As we come in here, it's a little overwhelming. It's like, whoa, there's vegetation literally everywhere. So, you know, this was a learning experience for me, and what I immediately noticed was I didn't take into account all the size that the plants would turn into. Like, right now everything is growing into one another and shading it out, and some of the things I planted aren't really doing so well because they're getting shaded out. There's some cauliflower down here. It's probably not going to produce anything edible. These are sunchokes, and they're getting really big. The corn, beans, and squash planting I did right here is not working out because the corn got shaded out, but the squash is still here. This is another squash that's enormous. Another squash that's enormous. It got so big, I planted a squash in my herb spiral and it grew out and covered the entire path here. So that's, you know, the herb spiral is for small herbs that you can use in your garden. So just for an experiment, I stuck an acorn squash in here to see what happens. I also stuck a corn plant in here, and as you can see, it's doing really well. Here's some dill. This is basil. Here's some parsley. This is amaranth. Tomato plants are really big and really healthy. Let me walk over here, and here is the corn, beans, and squash planting. And the beans, the pole beans, are actually climbing up the corn, just like I read about. And the squash is acting as a ground cover. You can barely see the ground here because it really does fill in really well. This is a blackberry plant. It's doing really well. My sea buckthorn is sort of getting overwhelmed here by this tomato plant, but you know, it's still alive. My American hazelnut is also competing for light here, but it's still here and it's still alive. Most of these are annuals, so they will die back. So whatever perennials that are in here will be here next year. So here's some mint. I made some mint tea out of this the other day. It's always good to have. It's getting really big, so you know, by harvesting it and using it, it keeps it from going nuts like it's doing now. And two things that aren't doing well in this are the blueberry plants. There's a blueberry here and a blueberry over there. So, you know, the soil conditions aren't right. So my guess is that the pH isn't right. So the plants are alive, they've grown a little,